Hugo. Let's go get him again.
Welcome to the Robezoid channel. I'm your host, Mark, and today is your Sampling Samples Sunday. Every Sunday we sample designer, niche, indie. I don't care. Today's sample is from the brand of Hugo Boss, so we're going in the designer realm, and we're going back in time, sniffing out the start of the scent line. I have an official sample that I got in a purchase years ago. I never really wanted to check out this line. I feel like they tried to recreate the magic they had with the Boss bottled line and do something darker, more interesting. Perhaps some of the flankers hit that magic within our little community for sure. There's tons of, you can see videos of some of the flankers here. They are very popular. But this one, the Eau de Toilette, the one that started it all, this one didn't get much shine, and I was kind of wondering why. So I stumbled upon this in my huge sample pile, and I'm like, you know what, finally, let's crack open a Hugo Boss. It's been a while. I have zero experience with this line, like I said, but I was interested in perhaps starting to collect another Hugo Boss line. I do collect the Boss bottle line, and I do have at least 3 dozen Hugo Boss fragrances in total in my collection. So let's start with the original. I think it's a good way to start, and let's see what that has, and then maybe take a look at the more popular flankers out there, even though some of them are starting to get discontinued. My history with Hugo Boss is a rocky one. There's some limelight here, but it's a rocky one. This is a line that you never pay full retail with, and I mean Hugo Boss. This Hugo Boss fragrances go against some of the top end ones as far as retail goes, but you go to discounters and things like that, it's $50 or under. So never go full retail with Hugo Boss fragrances, because they go almost like half price within like a month of being released. Now, if you didn't know, Boss Bottled was one of my starting fragrances when I was a teenager. It was my signature scent for years. I have a soft spot for Boss Bottled. I think personally is the only thing that they actually did well for the brand of Hugo Boss, and some of the flankers are actually really good for that line. Anything else out of the Boss Bottled realm from Hugo Boss, they've had hits here and there, but they're so far and few between. It's crazy how bad, like a big name like that, you should be like, they've never really attached themselves in their fragrance realm, like Armani and Gucci and YSL. They've had their flops in that, but they do have, you know, some sort of, I don't know, they have some good ones, and it feels like Hugo Boss keeps flopping. Like they're bargain bin fragrances. They're attached like Calvin Klein. Like they never really put that much effort in their men's line. At least that's my personal experience with Hugo Boss. You should be better. That's basically what I'm thinking of here. I'm sorry for anyone that loves the brand, and you know me, I don't pull any punches. I will tell you what I think of a brand of fragrance and all that. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm sure a lot of people are clicking on this who are interested in it, so they may be turned off of what I say, but they're not consistently releasing anything good and of substance. So they really need, you know, that's one brand I'd love to revamp. I'd be like, discontinue everything. Let's start from scratch. And I know people hate the D word. For me, Hugo Boss needs to be blown up and start from scratch, and let's go against the Dior's, the Chanel's, and it's going to be a huge climb, a lot of work. But that is a brand that needs a full rebuild. So let's get into the scent. Now let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on this one before we sniff it out. Release date was back in 2015, so it has some years behind it. It has tons of flankers that are behind it now, even to this year in 2023. So technically this is a successful line for the brand of Hugo Boss, starting with this one right here, Concentrations Eau de Toilette. So you're going to see different concentrations once you start getting into the line, but this is an Eau de Toilette. The noses behind this one are Bruno Jovanovic and Pascal Gorin. Both have huge resumes. Obviously, Bruno has worked with Frédéric Malle. He knows that, has a lot of respect within the industry, and Pascal as well. Now, let's take a look at the note breakdown on this one and the major notes to my nose. We have lavender and we have leather in here. The one note that a lot of people talk about when they associate themselves with this line is this manica fruit, which is unique to this line. It's very unique in perfumery. So I'm looking forward to kind of delving into that and see what it's all about. Now, let's crack open this official sample, which is cracked open quite a bit. We are at the end of the sample. It is a dabber, so I'm gonna just dab the rest of the scent on me. And there goes the sample. That's going in the garbage. And sniff this one out. Now, this fragrance opens with really lots of freshness. It is fresh with the mandarin and ginger being your central theme here. Really actually nice. It's transparent, but it's very short-lived. Then you get hit in the head with some fruity aspects, and they come to play right away. And the ginger and the citrus, yeah, they slowly burn off, but they burn off once the fruit comes in. It's kind of like trying to find it in the weeds. The fruit itself, like this manica fruit, which is the central theme of this line, it's a huge cloud of synthetic fruits to me. I mean, it really isn't anything to be wowed about. Honestly, it really hits you hard. It isn't very good as far as fruity touches go. I've smelled better from designer brands, not just niche, designer brands. And I'm thinking this is, of course, that manica fruit that this line is built upon, which is kind of sad if you're building your line upon this. This fruity touch smells a little like dried strawberries, a little bit. I'm trying to think of something like red like that. Diesel fuel for life has like this fruitiness that's very synthetic, but it's actually well done. It goes well with the scent. Here, it reminds me of a synthetic red touch that Polo Red gave me, to be honest. It's not terrible, but it isn't that great either. But I did get a little peachy apricot thing that is kind of separate from this manica fruit. Is from the, of course, the osmanthus in here that was paired with the manica, which is actually kind of mellowed things up. It brings down that manica syntheticness, and it's a little more interesting, I felt like. And that is something that a lot of reviews, I think, missed, is the peachy quality of the osmanthus here. And peach is usually regulated to more feminine-based fragrances, and I don't like putting them male-female, but I feel like a lot of males kind of miss the peachiness out of this. It's well hidden through that red cloud of syntheticness, but it's there, and I like that portion of this release. After you get pelted across the head with this huge fruity blast, the scent mellows a bit here. You start getting the back end notes, mainly in the mid. The lavender, which is solid. It doesn't remind me of dryer sheets. It really does give it its little, soapy, clean quality. And it gives that barbershop cleanliness to the fragrance. It really actually mellows it down. I really do like the way the lavender was pulled in this fragrance, and coming from Hugo Boss, you never know what you're gonna get. The fruity aspect comes down more and more with time, and the lavender comes up with a suede-like leathery touch. So the leather's not highly smoky, or it's not hugely leathery. It's suede-like, it's very tame. There's this musky, ambery, woody thing in the back end that isn't very remarkable, but just keeps the scent alive. It's trying to keep this thing going because it really halts really quickly on your skin. I felt that, and we're gonna get into performance, but overall, I don't think this scent will go against some of the best in the designer realm, even a day of launch. But for the brand, it was a good step up from what they've been releasing. I was disappointed after seeing so many reviewers on YouTube posting about this line. Not sure if they're positive or not in regards to the eau de toilette, but I was expecting more. I feel like it's a good stepping stone for the brand, and I would not be surprised that the flankers do overshadow this release. It felt like it was missing 2 or 3 things to really build upon. Unfortunately, especially with the noses behind it, I was expecting more. Now let's get into season, day, night, versatility, and performance. Seasons: fall, winter, spring, summer nights. It really is versatile in regards to it. I didn't feel like it was too dark for summer nights, spring, things like that. I feel like it's right there as far as versatility, and we're going to get into that. But yeah, almost all seasons, very much across the board. If I had to pinpoint, I would say fall, spring, the tweener seasons. Day or night, either way. I don't think it's interesting enough for night, but that's me. And once you start getting into a bigger collection, you'll see what I mean. It may be like just a daily casual thing for you. But if you're very young, or this is your first fragrance, can you wear it all the time? Yeah, day or night, doesn't matter. Versatility, very high. Like I said, casual wear, like that's where I'm putting this, is more casual wear. I wouldn't dress this up. You can, but there's better choices out there. Performance. Performance is a knock on this release. And again, I just have a little sample, but longevity gave me 4 to 6 hours. Very weak in regards to this type of scent with below average projection. So this thing really died on my skin. Performance, it's one of the worst that I got from this year as a whole actually. I'm even hard pressed to say 4 to 6. I almost feel like saying 3 to 5, but 4 to 6 below average projection. My final thoughts are that it's not bad. It's not a bad release, but it never really shined at anything. To give it props, it's much better than 90% of what Hugo Boss has been releasing, and I see why it got flankered up. I can see the base here. I feel like there's an okay base to work with, honestly, to add things, and that kind of excites me a little bit to see what the more popular flankers, what they did. I could see that it could be successful, but I felt like this one was missing a touch or 2 or 3 or 4, honestly, to be actually bottle worthy. And I think personally that the flankers are going to kind of, you know, fill those gaps that I saw here. This one goes really cheap online now. It's still available from what I know. I don't think it's discontinued, but Discounters has this for like $50 Canadian, which is, to my American friends, this is bargain bin. And I would actually recommend this for someone that's just starting out. You know, you don't have any fragrances. Yeah, anybody that has been in this game, this is a what do you call it? Like a nothing release. There's no reason to get it unless you're a collector. But honestly, at the end of the day, I think because of performance issues, the highly synthetic fruity take, which you could find in the bargain bin, and no insult, but there is. There's a minimalistic back end too that will bring down the score for this one, honestly. Good bargain bin scent. Yeah, if you find it, you know, in the bargain bin against the Lacostes and the Calvin Kleins, and that's where this thing belongs personally. But for a teenager, you know, you only have like 1 or 2 or 3 cents, and you see this in bargain bin, beautiful bottles. They're gorgeous, and that's probably why I want to start collecting this. But for a teenager, a daily wear for someone, something for casual use, you can do worse, but you can do better, honestly. So if I had to give it a score, I always do, as far as sampling samples go, I'm going to give this one 4 bottles out of 10. I see lots of potential with this base, but this base isn't good enough to crack, you know, 5 out of 10. It has to go a little under than that. I see it's not a snoozer all the way through, but it does have a lot of things that it needs to improve upon to at least hit the 6, 7, or 8s here. Now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. What do you think about this release, the Eau de Toilette? I know the flankers are super popular. I get it. I know. I mean, if you're watching this, yes, I am going to start collecting this line. I am starting to collect this line. I already have 2 of the flankers that were discontinued. I kind of had to jump on these before the prices start climbing, so I did get those, but I didn't get this one yet. But I'd love to see your comments below. And as always, a great report fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.